She made her way toward the city. The city was loud, filled with massive cars, towering buildings, and an endless hum of noise, but it held no big heart. Chichi slipped into the city like a shadow, small, silent, and unnoticed. She didn't know a single soul. No one knew her. She had no money. She had no food. She only had Emeka and hope. For many days she slept beneath bridges. She laid Emeka gently on her chest and wrapped her worn cloth around them both like a fragile blanket. Each night she sang to him, broken lullabies escaping her trembling lips. Every morning she woke with cold bones and empty hands. She begged near busy streets, whispering, "Please, just some bread." Some people turned their faces away. Some dropped coins in her hand. Some spat harsh words. "Go back to where you came from." One day, she spotted a small restaurant beside the road. Holding Emeka close, she stepped inside. "Please, I can wash dishes," she said quietly. The owner looked at her, then down at the baby. All right. You can try." For 3 days, Chichi scrubbed and washed, cleaning grease from pots and mopping grimy floors. But Emeka cried at times, and she had to stop her work to pick him up and breastfeed, calming his little body. On the 4th morning, the manager yelled, "This isn't a daycare. You're too slow. Get out." He threw a wet rag down at her feet. Without a word, Chichi left, returning to the bridge, back to the cold, back to the night. That night the police arrived. Flashlights glaring, voices booming. "Clear this place. Move on." Chichi gathered Emeka in her arms and ran without knowing where to go. She darted through shadowy alleys, past shuttered shops. Her legs ached. Her chest burned with effort, but she did not stop until she reached a quiet street. Tall houses stood like sentinels, their gates painted gold. Huge flowers lined the walkways like guards. Then the rain began, soft drops at first, then pouring in heavy sheets. Emeka whimpered. Chichi dropped her bag and sat on the wet ground, pulling her cloth over them both. She pressed Emeka to her chest. The cold iron gate was behind her back. She whispered, "Just one night. That's all we need." She did not know whose house she had come to. She did not care. She only wanted sleep, shelter, safety. The rain poured like a shattered sky. Chichi sat on the wet ground, the gate cold against her back. Emeka shivered in her arms. His tiny hands clung to her skin. She whispered softly, "Hold on, my baby. Just a little longer." That night, fate showed her mercy. The gate creaked open. A deep engine purred. A sleek black luxury car rolled in slowly. Its headlights were as bright as dawn. The door opened. A tall woman stepped out, dressed in black lace, golden earrings swinging as she moved. Her eyes were sharp but held softness. She was a politician, known as Honorable Clara. She stopped when she saw Chichi and the baby sleeping by her gate. She did not shout. She did not frown. She walked closer and knelt in the rain. "My dear, what happened to you?" Chichi looked up, lips trembling, voice faint. Slowly, painfully, she told her everything. About Mr. Adamu, about her parents, the beatings, the baby, Mama Joma's death, the nights under the bridge, the hunger, the job, the shame. The woman listened quietly, tears filling her eyes. "You've suffered too much," she whispered. She stood and opened the gate wide. "You will not sleep in the rain again. Come inside." Chichi followed her into the house. The air smelled of flowers and fresh peas. She was given a towel, warm milk for Emeka, and a guest room with soft sheets and steady light. That night, Chichi cried into her pillow, not from pain but from relief. Morning came. Chichi folded her wrapper, packed her bag, and prepared to leave. But Honorable Clara stopped her. "Where are you going?" "You've done enough for me," Chichi said. "I can't stay." "Yes, you can't," the woman said firmly. "I need someone to help with house chores. You will work here. You will eat here. You will sleep here. And your son will grow here." Chichi's eyes widened. She knelt down. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you." "Stand up," the woman smiled. "You don't kneel to me. You're not a beggar." From that day, Chichi became a maid. Not a prisoner but with dignity. She cleaned the house, fetched groceries, watered the flowers. Emeka ran around the house calling the woman Big Mommy, and she smiled each time he said it. He was enrolled in the best school in town. That was how a new life began for Chichi and her son. Quietly, gently, like a small plant growing after a heavy rain. Years passed like a slow river. The house that once held only pain now carried joy. Emeka grew tall, strong, and full of light. Big Mommy loved him like the son she never had. She held his hand to school every morning, kissed his forehead, packed his lunch, and taught him to speak kindly, walk proudly, and dream without fear. He called her Big Mommy, but she was so much more. She was a ladder, a shelter, a blessing. Chichi watched quietly in the background. Sewing, saving, planning. Her hands stitched clothes, but her pain stitched strength. She started a small business on the corner of the street, using old wrappers and borrowed thread. One by one, women came to her. "Make mine like the gown you wore to church. Give me that style you gave Big Mommy." Mommy's business began to flow. Her fingers worked day and night. She bought one sewing machine, then two, then a small shop, then workers. The girl who once begged for leftovers now owned a fashion brand with her name printed in shining gold letters above the door. And Emeka, intelligent like his mother, grew into a young man filled with ambition. From primary school to secondary, then university, he stayed on top. First in class, head boy, best in speech, best in heart. When he graduated with honors, cameras flashed, people clapped, and Big Mommy wept. With her guidance, he entered politics, determined to be a force for good. First it was small, meetings, rallies, speeches in markets. Then it grew bigger. Billboards, TV spots, posters on walls. "Vote Emeka, a new light for our future." He told the world about his mother, Chichi. He shared her courage. He did not hide her story. He wore it like a badge of honor. If a woman can rise from ashes and raise a son in pain, then that son must turn pain into power. People listened. They voted. They danced. They shouted his name and lifted him high. Emeka became governor. Cameras followed him. Children called his name. Mothers prayed for him. Big Mommy sat proudly beside him. Chichi, dressed in her own design, stood behind him, tears shimmering in her eyes. It seemed like a happy ending, a fairy tale come true. But the joy was short-lived. One evening, as the sky turned orange and the market closed, a video appeared online. A man sat by the roadside. His clothes were tattered. His beard wild and unkempt. He looked into the camera and cried. "Emeka is my son," he said. "He left me to suffer. I sleep outside. I beg for food, but he wears fine clothes and lives like a king." People watched and believed him. "He abandoned his father," they said. "A man like that should not lead us. Even a goat feeds its parent." The same crowd that cheered his name now spat it out. The same hands that applauded now pointed fingers. Some threw away his posters. Others said, "He will forget us too." The news spread fast, like wildfire on dry grass. Emeka sat in his office, silent. He watched the video again and again. The man's voice echoed in his mind. "I'm his father." Tears filled Emeka's eyes. He stood slowly and walked to his mother's room. She sat on the floor, folding wrappers. "Mommy," he said softly. She looked up. He held out the phone. "Who is this man?" she asked, hands frozen, breath caught, heart beating like it had all those years ago. She held Emeka's hands tightly. "It's time," she whispered. She called a public gathering, invited the press, asked Big Mommy to sit beside her, and told Emeka to stay strong. Then Mr. Adamu appeared. The same man who once strode with power, now limped in worn sandals and fake tears. He sat on the stage and spoke first. "I raised Emeka. I lied not. I sold my land to pay his fees. I begged to feed them. And now they have thrown me away." The crowd murmured, unsure. But Chichi stood up. She did not tremble or shout. She told the truth, from the very beginning. About the class, the cane, the lies, the threats, the pregnancy, the rejection, the pain, the baby, the streets, Mama Joma's death, the kindness of a stranger, the rise from nothing. Her words filled the air like rain. Some wept loudly. Others bowed their heads in shame. Big Mommy held Emeka's shoulder. Emeka cried like a child. Mr. Adamu tried to slip away quietly. But police were waiting. They seized him, charged him with abuse, defamation, destruction of a life. This time he did not escape. He was dragged out, a coward finally caught. Chichi did not look back. She had already looked pain in the eye, and survived. Later that week, Emeka and Chichi returned to the village that once cast her out. The village looked the same, but time had passed. The red dust still danced in the sun. The crooked houses still leaned against the wind. But something was different. Chichi was no longer the girl with swollen feet and a crying baby on her back. She was a woman, strong, whole, unshaken. Beside her stood Emeka, tall, confident, dressed like a man the world must respect. The car parked in the village square. People gathered. Heads turned. Mouths whispered. "Is that him? It is the governor." Then they saw her, Chichi. The same girl they called shame. The same girl they threw away like old cloth. Now she walked with grace. Like someone who had danced with fire and did not burn. Her parents' house was quiet. She entered the compound. Her mother sat on the ground, wrapper faded, back bent like a broken broom. Her father lay inside, 2 weeks from death, voice barely a whisper. They looked up as the shadow entered the room. Their eyes opened wide. "Emeka," her mother said, voice shaking. "The governor," her father stammered. Chichi stood behind her son, eyes full of silent tears. They fell to their knees. "We are sorry," they cried. They wept. They trembled. But Chichi said nothing. She looked at them a long time, then turned and walked away. Later that month she sent caretakers. They brought food, medicine, and clean clothes. She did not return to curse them. She did not return to shame them. She returned to show them what grace looked like. And she never forgot Mama Joma. She told Emeka, "If not for her we would not be here." So they built something new. A home, a foundation for every girl once abandoned, for every child born in shame. They called it Mama Joma's Light. Through that name, a poor old woman who died alone now lives forever in the story of those who rise. Because pain can bury you or it can build you. And Chichi chose to rise.